You're watching the It's Her Time podcast with Cody and Jess. Welcome back to the It's Her Time podcast. My name is Cody Sanders, and I'm a holistic health practitioner and functional nutritionist and the host of this show. And today I have a very special guest, Corrine Beaumont. She is the founder of Know Your Lemons. And as you know, I think all of us know that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But in this episode, we're going to talk about how to take it beyond just awareness, but go into action. There's some incredible information that Corrine has been spreading all across the entire world. How many people have you been spreading this message to? Millions.
Billions.
Billions.
Yes.
Billions.
1.85 billion people have seen our work and it saved lives. And we're excited to share it with you today.
It's saving lives. And I cannot wait for you girls to tune in and listen all in on this conversation. But before we do that, let's join Jess for a Mixers Girls Say. All right, for Mixers Girls Say, I have another fun one of our Mixers Girls team. This is Brittany, and Brittany is our Chief Marketing Officer. Say hi, Brittany.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. My first ever.
I know. And hopefully we'll have many more. This has been fun. We've been bringing on some of our team members who are actual Mixers girls and having them come on because so many of you write in wanting to know a little bit more about our team. And we are so proud of our team. We have the coolest girls ever. They're fun, they're funny, they're smart. And we are so happy to have Britt. She's been here exactly 1 month.
Yes.
And already just killing it and uniting everybody. I love and appreciate you, Britt.
No, I appreciate you. It's been a blessing to be here. I've been other places and to be in a place where it's all women in a supportive, authentic, to your point, intelligent and just business-oriented space. It's really beautiful.
It is. It is. All right. So since we are so close to Halloween, okay, we're kind of having fun. And I wanted to, have you, of course, get to know Britt and some of the other girls that we've had on these segments. But also, let's just have some fun for Halloween, okay?
We love Halloween.
All right. So we're going to talk about Halloween costumes, okay? So what I want to know, Britt, is are you the type of girl that when you dress up for Halloween, are you cute? Or are you funny?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got the sexy Halloween looks going on a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. My answer is I am being Jabba the Hutt this year for Halloween. My kids are being Luke Skywalker, and they said, Mom, you should be Leia. And I said, never. Never. I'm being Jabba the Hutt. I have been a dinosaur 3 years in a row.
Yes.
So yeah, does that answer the question?
I love that. I love that. I mean, nothing wrong with being Princess Leia. That's fun too. There's so many cute costumes that are out there.
It's true. I just love to just make it weird and shocking and just wild. But yeah, kudos to women who get beautiful and sexy and I support it. I support it too. I am not one of those people.
Yes,
my husband's sad about it.
I'm the person that your husband's a little sad.
Yeah, I think so.
There's other days besides Halloween that you can,
Correct.
do that. So, but yeah, so I tend to like to do funny things too. I'm not one that ever is going for the sexy.
What's some from you?
Well, that's hard to. I usually try to. My husband's really good at doing costumes, and the things that we do are things that people wouldn't really know whether you're wearing a costume or not unless they actually know you.
Okay.
And so if they know you and then they see you coming in, it's so funny because you look so legit. So for instance, my husband's kind of more of he dresses kind of like a skater. He's from California. He has that kind of look, right?
Yes, he does.
Well, one time, it was so funny. People did not recognize him at all. And it wasn't even he had this great disguise. He had just grown a Fu Manchu. You know what I'm talking about? Those
yes.
He had that on. He put on a little trucker hat and a button-up kind of Western shirt. Had a huge belt buckle, some cowboy boots and some Wranglers. And I mean, he looked like any guy, a lot of guys that I grew up with, here in Utah. But because it looks so different than what he normally looks like, it cracked people up and it was so funny.
It's convincing. See, people won't believe I'm Jabba the Hutt. They won't believe
because
it.
Yeah,
they won't believe that. One year, we were between two ferns.
Oh.
So my husband played a very convincing Zach Galifianakis and I was a fern.
See, creative.
It was not very well executed, but yeah, creativity.
No,
man.
but it's fun and that's what it's all about.
Yes.
So I still love to walk around and see the trick-or-treaters.
I know.
And, it's just fun. And kids and adults alike. So it's fun. So whatever you are dressing up to be as Halloween, I just hope you have so much fun. And we would love to see. So if you wanted to post on our Mixers Girls community, post a picture of you in your Halloween costume or share some funny stories of what you've dressed up as in the past. All right.
We'd love it.
So
Happy
fun.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Let's get into the episode now.
Mixers is a company made for women by women. Each of our products have been carefully and lovingly crafted to support you in all stages of your life, providing you with the optimal health you deserve. Each ingredient we handpick is 100% all natural, backed by science, and chosen specifically to better your life physically, mentally, and hormonally. Each product empowers your body to take charge of its monthly hormonal shift and flows, empowering you to live life to the fullest. Let Mixers take care of your needs from sunup to sundown, and you take care of the rest. Check us out at mixers.com, MIXHERS.
All right. Like I said in the intro, we're so excited to have you here, Corrine. Thank you so much.
Thank
This is your
you.
second time on the podcast.
Yes.
That's because I feel extremely passionate about educating women on breast cancer prevention and treatment, diagnosis and then treatment, all of it, because I think so much is emphasized, like I said, on awareness, which is so great, but not enough. We need to understand better because I've shared on this podcast many times about my own sister who was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer at the age of 32, not at an age when it was even something on her radar. And the whole diagnosis happened because as a 27-year-old, as her younger sister, I noticed a lump and had to fight for somebody to give me a mammogram. They were looking at me like I was just out of my mind, crazy. Why would you need a mammogram? You're in your 20s. This isn't something important. But right. I went, got the mammogram. Luckily, there was nothing there to be concerned with, but it inspired my sister to go and get a mammogram on an area that she felt she was maybe feeling like was a little out of sorts. And that's what led to the diagnosis. So it's so important, no matter what age or phase of life that you're in, that you understand what it is that we're actually looking for and then what we can do about that. So that's what this whole conversation is going to be about. So tell everybody a little bit about you and how this all became. How did you become the founder of Know Your Lemons?
Yes. So my story is a personal one as well. I lost actually 3 grandmothers to breast cancer and a really close friend. And I was getting my master's degree in graphic design the time my second grandmother died, and just realized that breast health information isn't talked about.
True.
And one of the reasons for that as a designer is because we're not presenting the information in a way that's engaging or interesting. And I just thought, as a designer, I could change this. I could make it really easy to start breast health conversations by having a way of looking at it differently. So I was looking at visual ways to show breasts using metaphors. So I looked at jugs and cones and melons. I photographed all kinds of different things. And then I came across this idea of, what if I used lemons? Because lemons have nipples. Yes. They have skin and pores and everything. And if you cut a lemon navel to navel, it actually looks like breast anatomy. You've got like the milk ducts that are coming through. And a cancerous lump often feels hard and immovable like a lemon seed. So being able to illustrate breasts using lemons meant suddenly we could talk about breast cancer anywhere.
Right.
So while I was getting my master's degree, I came up with this idea of having 12 lemons inside of an egg carton to illustrate the 12 symptoms of breast cancer. And so what I did is I used Photoshop to manipulate all of these lemons. So that way it would be really easy to look at it and say, oh, here's all the symptoms of breast cancer. And today, those symptoms are in 34 different languages.
Amazing.
Which is really exciting, educating a lot of people because we're only told about a lump.
Right.
And a lump is the most common sign of breast cancer, but it's not the only one. And we did this study in the Netherlands where we asked women who had been diagnosed with breast cancer, how many symptoms did you have at the time of your diagnosis?
Right.
11% said they had more than one symptom. So then showed them the 12 signs of breast cancer and said, okay, can you please select which of these symptoms you had?
Mm-hmm.
After that, 44% said they had more than one symptom. And what that's saying is that we don't always recognize as women, when we're diagnosed with breast cancer, all the symptoms that we're currently having.
Right.
Health workers don't always know all the symptoms of breast cancer, but with this one picture, we can teach you in 60 seconds the things you should be looking out for. And it's really helped women advocate for themselves because they see the image, maybe a couple years later, they're doing a self-exam and they go, hold on, this is a change. They go back to the picture, they get information, they use our app so they know how to talk to their doctor and what tests to ask for. And then they're able to get diagnosed at earlier stages because when someone is diagnosed with breast cancer at stage 1, the survival rate is 99%. And until we have a cure for breast cancer and all the different kinds of breast cancers, we need to find it early, right? So like awareness is great.
Yes.
We know that breast cancer exists.
We know that. I think probably every single person listening or watching this today has experienced either personally or they have a loved one who has experienced breast cancer. Yes, it's everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like just some statistics with that.
Yeah.
Every 14 seconds around the world, someone is told you have breast cancer. It's the most common cancer in the world of all the cancers. Breast cancer is the most prevalent. And there's, a lot of things that we know that exist. It's out there. We might have relatives who have had breast cancer. But we don't really know the actions that we should be taking when it comes to our breast health. And like, for example, self-exams.
Right.
So we had a class today.
We did. We took the entire Mixers team through this incredible class that Corrine and the Know Your Lemons crew has available. And we'll, of course, put links in so that you girls can take advantage of this as well. But yeah, we had this class today.
So we do corporate education programs where employers can have a Know Your Lemons class for all of their employees that works for men and women. So we're having this class and I asked the question, how do you feel about self-exam?
Right.
Like how many of you feel confident and you do it every month? And your hand was raised.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because you know your lemons.
I know my lemons, but Corrine, I still learned a lot. It's on my radar because of my sister and the family history there. And then obviously because I've been in the health and wellness world for so long and work with women's hormonal health. So I've worked with so many women that have gone through breast cancer. And so, yeah, it's on my radar. So I'm really good about doing my self-exam. And I've tried to learn as much as I possibly can how to do it right. But still, even with the knowledge that I've received, there's still so much I learned. That's what I love so much about Know Your Lemons is because I learned so much more about signs that I wasn't necessarily aware of that it was important to pay attention to. So we'll put an image on our screen of the 12 signs in the little egg carton with the lemon so that you girls can see what we're talking about. If you are just listening and not watching, then make sure you go to the link so that you can pull this up on your phone or whatever you're listening to us on. But lots of incredible things that I learned as well. So there weren't very many people.
Weren't very many people. And I'm guessing of those of you listening and watching, you yourself are thinking, I'm not super confident with my self-exam.
No, the majority were like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. So it's like maybe you've tried a self-exam once and you felt a bunch of lumps and it got a little confusing. And then you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then you just kind of like, it drops off your radar. It's just not the priority.
I know how many of us have felt that. We go in, we find a lump. We're like, either terrified or we're just not even sure if we're knowing what to look for. We're not sure if it's something to be concerned about or not. So in our class, we talked about breast anatomy because we don't learn about this in school. We learn about every part of the body except for breasts in school, so
right?
True. It's so like, dumb, but it's true. It's because breasts have become sexualized, right? And so
exactly, like they're sexualized. They think, people don't need this information, etc. But like if I asked you to name like the parts of a cell, or if I asked you to name like the parts of an eyeball, right? You could probably name a few things. Yes. But if I say, can you tell me what's inside your breast?
I know. Think about it. How many of you girls know all of the different parts of the anatomy of your breast? I mean, obviously I can't hear your answers, but just think inside your mind, like how well do you know your breasts? Yes.
Right. So you know about a nipple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that there's something inside that can make milk.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
But there are lumpy, bumpy things inside of our breasts that are normal. And it's good to understand that. So a self-exam is about knowing the landscape of your breast, because everybody has a slightly different terrain that's normal for them.
Right.
So these lumps that are inside our breasts are related to our lymph nodes and our lobes.
Okay.
And lobes will swell with the menstrual cycle towards like the last half of the cycle. So if you've ever noticed your breasts get like tender.
Yes, during that luteal phase, girls, you know exactly what she's talking about.
And more, there's more lumpiness that's in there, right? That tends to be when we feel our breasts.
Right.
Because something feels painful. Something feels
You described
different.
It like your breasts are talking
They're
to you.
very talkative.
I knew exactly what you meant. They are talking to you. Feel them.
Like, I'm here. I'm here. Hello, everybody. Like, I'm here, right? It's like our breasts talk to us and we're like, oh, so we respond. Like we feel, we're like, I'm noticing something. And then you might notice a lump or tenderness and then it goes away in a week. And then you're like, well, did I imagine that? Like what's going on? And that's actually just part of what we call a breast cycle.
Right.
So it's
like a menstrual cycle. We have a breast cycle.
So the best time to do a self-exam if you're menstruating is a few days after your period ends. So after you stop bleeding, a few days after that, the hormone levels are decreased. And then you do a self-exam then. So we have an app that will time it to your body. You put in what your menstrual cycle is. The lemon moves from day to day. It's really cute.
It is so cute.
And then it sends you a notification saying, hey, today, knock,
Today's
it's self-exam o'clock.
Which just happens to be me today. I'm on day 7 of my monthly cycle. And so today is the day. I usually will examine my own breasts about a week after I start my period. So, but it's in somewhere within that range, that 5 to 9 days after you started your period. And that's
there's like a window.
There's like a little window when, like what Corrine was describing, our hormones are at a place that they aren't going to contribute to that sensitive, lumpy, type of landscape. And so that's a good time for us to do these self-exams.
Yeah, exactly. So there are a couple of things people don't know about self-exams. And I know today in our class, a lot of people were like, oh, I had no idea. So I'm going to give you some self-exam secrets that shouldn't be secrets. They should be things everybody knows. But here's some self-exam tips. So one of them is to know what area to feel for. So a lot of us think a self-exam is just like the cup part of our bras, but that's not where our breasts end. Our breasts actually extend up into our armpits and up to our collarbone, to the bottom of our rib cage. That's the whole area that you should be feeling. And that's because there are lymph nodes connected to our breasts that go up to our collarbone. They go into our armpit. And so being able to feel that entire area is part of doing a full self-exam. So that's tip number 1.
Tip number 1, make sure you're expanding probably the area that you've been thinking is part of a breast self-exam.
Yes. Tip number 2 is to use 2 different positions when you do a self-exam. So the one you've probably heard of is to like put your arm behind your head, right? And then lay flat on your back. That's really great because that's going to give you a flat landscape.
It stretches things out.
Yeah.
Right.
So that then when you're feeling like everything's flat and you're flattish, right?
Flattish. Yes.
Depending on
stretched. It's stretched.
Yeah. And so so you'll feel that whole area, right? And then another good position is to stand up and like bend forward like a candy cane is how we explain it.
And I had never, I've talked to you, so I've known about this now for a while. But that was when I first heard this. I had never heard of anybody describing like that was a good position to do a self-exam in. But it makes so much sense. So yeah.
So what you do is you bend forward and you just like let your arms go limp.
Yeah.
Just relax everything. Relax your muscles. Let gravity do its work. And what you're doing is it's the opposite landscape, right?
Yeah.
So like when you're laying flat on your back with your arm behind your head, it's like, let's flatten everything out. When you're leaning forward with your arms in front of you, and then you're doing a self-exam that way, it's easier to feel down to your ribs because you need to feel all the way down to your ribs.
Yeah.
Some people do a self-exam and they're just feeling like the top inch of breast, right? You need to feel all the inches of breast. So the top and then the middle and the deep level where you can
So
feel your
not
ribs.
just the surface level, but the depth of it. So yeah.
Yeah. So kind of think of it as like a 3-layer cake.
Yeah.
Right. You want to go through all those layers.
So light touch, medium touch, and then a little more aggressive. Just get in there. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people ask what pattern is best. Should I like go around like a cinnamon roll swirl?
Right.
Should I go like up and down?
I think that's how I was taught. Just a little cinnamon roll. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
as long as you're covering that area and it makes sense to you and you're learning the landscape of what's normal for you, you're like, you know what? I always kind of have this little bump here and this, that. It's really useful if you feel something to check the other breast and see if that's also on the other side, because that can help you understand of like, oh, this is normal for my body. So being able to, again, just know it's normal for you. So that's the point of a self-exam. It's not, I'm going to look for cancer today.
Right.
It's, I'm going to learn the landscape of my breast. I'm going to get really familiar
to know yourself a little better
with what my normal lumps and bumps are. So thinking about that, these normal lumps that are in our breasts, these lobes, these lymph nodes, they feel like soft cooked peas or beans. They can be moved, like they're movable when you push on them, that sort of thing. They can get really swollen during that luteal phase. And you'll notice like you'll push on it and it hurts. So a cancerous lump, not 100% of the time. So I really want to emphasize that.
Right. Okay.
If something is different than your normal landscape, it's a change that sticks around or gets worse, or your instincts say something doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
That's all you need to go to a doctor.
Yes. Yes. We talk about that all the time. Trust your instincts.
Trust your instincts. And then knowing what to say to your doctor is really important. So with our Know Your Lemons app, you can do a self-exam with Mona Lisa. She is your audio guide. She's your self-exam coach.
Mona Lisa, like the famous art piece, the Mona Lisa. It's so cute.
So she has been doing self-exams for 500 years and
she's an expert. She knows her landscape.
She's really good.
Yeah, she is.
And she will talk you through what each part of the breast feels like. We've had people say that they did the self-exam with Mona Lisa as the audio guide to really like talk them through the first time, help them really understand it. They said they felt a lot more confident after doing that with Mona Lisa. Some people said, I found a lump that I never knew was there. And I had been doing self-exams for a while.
Right. Amazing.
So that's really helpful. So at the end of your self-exam with Mona Lisa, you can also do it with Napoleon. If you want Napoleon to guide you through to understand the territory.
Sure, why not?
So Napoleon, he's very good. He'll tell you, like he understands. Napoleon is also useful for people who have had a mastectomy.
Yeah.
People who are men, people who've had top surgery. So it's just, we're very inclusive at Know Your Lemons. We want to make sure everybody can get educated because anybody can get breast cancer. It doesn't matter how old you are.
Which is probably a big myth that needs to be busted, that only women get breast cancer. Right?
Yeah. Like Beyonce's dad had breast cancer.
Beyonce's dad. Yes.
Yeah. So it's information that all of us really need to know, and we need to support each other with that. So on the app, you can look up the symptom that you think you have, read a description about it. And then if you say, you know what, I really think this is like what this is, then we give you a doctor's conversation guide that you can use to have conversation with your doctor. The main thing to know is that if you're concerned enough to make that appointment, to move everything else out of your schedule, to make time to go to your doctor, to say, I have a breast change I'm concerned about, that is all the evidence you need to get testing. Your doctor doesn't have to feel it too. Your doctor doesn't need to say, well, let's see if this sticks around for 6 months before I refer you for testing to see if it gets worse. You having the concern is enough reason to ask for a mammogram and ultrasound. So in the US, that is the standard procedure. If you have an area of concern, that they schedule you for a mammogram and ultrasound together. So a mammogram is going to do like an overview of like the whole breast, right? It's like kind of this big, as we're using this landscape metaphor, right? It's going to be like, here's like the full picture. And then an ultrasound is going to be, well, let's zoom in on this spot and understand it a little bit better. And with that ultrasound, what they're going to do is look to see if this is ruling out something like a fluid-filled cyst. or some other things, because there's lots of lumps that can develop over time. I have something called a papilloma, which is a harmless something inside my breast, is like the easiest way to explain it.
Sure.
But it's not cancer.
No, right.
But I needed to have that investigated and looked at. And so, if you go to the doctor, you get the testing and it turns out to be fine, that is peace of mind that allows you to start thinking about other parts of your body instead of your breasts, right?
Right.
We always seem to be worried about something or another, right, that's going on with us. But it's really good to have that peace of mind to eliminate something. If they're still quite not sure what it is after they're looking at the ultrasound, then typically you'll be referred for a biopsy.
Okay.
A biopsy is taking a sample of the cells so they can look at it under a microscope to say, what is this?
Right.
So a mammogram, an ultrasound, it's about understanding shapes and some blood flow and some other kind of things they have that can help them to say, actually, this isn't acting suspiciously whatsoever.
Right.
But if something does seem a little bit unusual, the only way to definitively tell that something is cancer is to look at the cells under a microscope and determine what it is. So 80% of biopsies turn out to be nothing. So if you do need to go all the way through to biopsy to test something out, don't panic.
Right. Okay, good.
But really feel, I would say you are so smart and you are so amazing for looking after yourself to say something doesn't seem right. I really would like to take care of this and understand and to ask for the testing and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Is really important.
Yeah. Knowledge is power. We talk about that all the time, and about how it's better to test than just guess. And so that stress that can come from not knowing sometimes can actually, lead to a worse outcome. So I think it's really important for exactly what you're just saying. Feel empowered, go in. If you feel something needs to be checked, you have a concern, it is valid.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's all the evidence you need. I have a concern. Today also we talked about risk.
Yeah.
There are lots of things that can increase your risk for breast cancer. And so on the app, everyone today did the risk assessment and it will talk you through everything. So you might think you know your risk, but you actually don't know your risk. So
yeah, it was good. It went in depth. Yep.
Yeah. So we talk about things like lifestyle factors.
Yes.
And genetic things or all kinds of stuff. So one of the really interesting things that we use to explain risks is that it's a lot like having tickets in a raffle.
Yeah,
right. So
I liked this analogy. It was good.
You might buy 100 tickets for a raffle and you're going to have a better chance of getting selected, but you're not guaranteed that you're going to be selected, right? Or you might have 2 tickets in a raffle, and that's going to mean you're not going to have a great chance of getting selected, but it doesn't mean you can't be selected. And that's what risk is like for breast cancer. You might have a lot of tickets.
It's a raffle you don't want to win, though, right?
It's a bad raffle.
Yeah.
You might have more tickets than somebody else, but that doesn't mean that you will absolutely get it or that you can't get it. It's just about what do we do to reduce the number of tickets in this horrible raffle, right? So avoiding alcohol is a really big one. Alcohol is directly linked to cancer. Smoking, a sedentary lifestyle.
Yes.
That is also something that's really connected. Those are like the 3 main lifestyle things is like what you drink, sitting around, what you eat, being healthy, being obese after menopause can increase your risk for breast cancer. That's because fat, and I didn't know this until I was looking into all this, fat stores and produces estrogen.
I know. That's why when we go into menopause, we're still producing estrogen because we have fat stores. People think that estrogen just completely is like gone. It's much lower, but it's because we produce estrogen in other areas of our body. So it's good to know. Yes.
And estrogen can increase risk for breast cancer.
When there's an estrogen dominant situation. Yes.
Yeah. So knowing your risk is really important because if you have an increased risk for breast cancer, then there's a possibility that you should be starting mammograms before age 40. You might be recommended to be doing a breast MRI as a screening tool if you're high risk. maybe ultrasound is going to be important for you. There's another thing called breast density. Having dense breasts can increase your risk for breast cancer. Breast density is not something that can be felt.
Okay.
It's about the makeup of the breast tissue. So we have fibroglandular tissue, and then we have fatty tissue. And the older we get, the more the ratio sways to fatty tissue in our breasts.
Sure.
Fatty tissue is easy to see through on an X-ray, which is a mammogram. And on a mammogram, a tumor shows up as white, and dense breast tissue shows up as white.
All right.
So if you have extremely dense breasts, people say it's like
detect.
It's looking for like a pearl in a bowl of oatmeal.
Okay.
Right. It's like it's going to be a little hard to find, right?
Sure.
And so this is why they've got new legislation that just came out this month requiring that when you get a mammogram on your report, it needs to tell you what level of breast density you have and what that means.
And how do they classify that?
Yeah. So it's A, B, C, D density. A is no density.
Okay.
D is extreme density. How this is determined is the radiologist will look at your X-ray from the mammogram and looking at two breasts cumulatively. So like overall, what is the density? And they eyeball it. But they're looking at these scans all the time, right?
So they have an expert eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they look at it and say, this is C density. This person has dense breasts. So C and D density is considered dense breasts. But there's also like low C, high C, because this isn't like our breasts neatly fit into four categories of density, right? It's a range. One breast can have a different density than the other breast. And not the entire breast has the same density. So it's like a cloudy type of picture. It's not like consistent. So if you have a tumor that's hiding behind dense breast tissue, it's going to be harder to spot on a mammogram.
So, and that's the purpose of understanding what your breast density is to maybe determine whether a mammogram is going to be effective or not, or what is it? Why is it important for us to know?
So there are different types of mammograms. There's like a 3D mammogram that can be really useful. And that can help look through dense tissue better. There's also supplemental screening ultrasound, and that can be useful too. It's good to know that the more things you look at it. So if you think about it, like I'm going to have binoculars look at this, and then I'm going to have this other thing look at this. The more you're looking at something, the more likely it will be that something's going to crop up because you're watching it so closely.
Yes.
So knowing that though, like helps you understand like things might crop up that we're going to have to investigate. And that's just part of this process because we're monitoring, we're watching closely. So things like that would usually only be recommended if there's like a increased risk for breast cancer, or if it's really extremely dense breasts where mammogram is really having a hard time. So, a lot of times women will say, well, how come we don't start mammograms earlier? That's part of the reason is because we have such dense breasts at this younger age. Yeah, like in our 20s, that a mammogram is going to be like, well, I'll take the picture.
Yeah.
But it might not be easy. Also, Black women have denser breasts than their white counterparts. Asian women have very dense breasts.
Yeah.
So it's good to know this information because it can increase your risk for breast cancer. So being able to talk to your doctor to make sure you are having the right testing can be really useful. Our app walks you through all of this.
That's so helpful.
Explains all of it.
Because it's a lot of information. There's some risk factors that maybe we wouldn't necessarily be aware of. And to know that even our ethnicity could, possibly be contributing to our risk factors. You didn't mention thermography. Is that something that you're familiar with? Because I know that that's something that I have used, and because I didn't want to have as much exposure to radiation. I know my sister with breast cancer has used that, and it detects like heat. And wherever there's breast cancer, there is heat. And so
sometimes, So thermography can be something that if you want to add that to your screening routine, there's no harm in it.
No harm at all.
But it's not recommended to replace a mammogram because a mammogram is still the gold standard of this. And technology is evolving more and more. And so as new tools come in, better ways of looking at things develop, like what we're talking about now, 20 years from now, we're going to have completely different options for how to investigate things inside the breast. I was able to do a scan on this like papilloma that I was telling you about that I have. So the thing with this lump that I've had is like, it's never grown, it's never changed size, which is great, but it talks to me all the time.
Yeah.
It's really annoying. Yeah. And so I'm always like, is this really okay? Because this still is like...
Does it ache? What is it
aches.
that it aches?
It hurts. It's like, it's a real pain.
Yeah.
And so this company has this new technology where they use lasers and sound, sonic use to be able to look inside to really understand more about what's happening inside of that mass. And that's how they were able to say, oh, this is behaving exactly like a papilloma. So that was really useful, which meant I didn't have to get a biopsy because we had so much information from this. So as new technology comes in, then these like things will change. But in the meantime, this is what we have to work with. Like this is the best thing we can do. So a mammogram, we've talked a lot about the limitations here, but a mammogram can find a cancerous lump before it can be felt. And if you can find cancer before it starts presenting symptoms, you are in such better shape than if you wait until...
It's a huge percentage.
Yes.
Will you share that? Yeah.
Yeah. So, a lot of people find breast cancer by noticing it themselves.
Okay.
In the Netherlands, it was about 50-50. 50% found it with a mammogram, 50% found it first with noticing it on their own body. So we need both tests to really help us understand our breasts and then understand like the limitations and understanding us personally, right? Because these recommendations are meant for the general public.
Right.
So if you do the risk assessment on the app, then you'll know exactly what your risk factors are. And then you can talk to your doctor about your screening plan and make sure that you are on the right thing.
Exactly. And that's the whole point. And I love it that you make it so easy, user-friendly, something that is actually fun. If I can say that, it's actually fun, something that you'll look forward to. And at Mixers, that's what we're all about too. We try to make health easy and fun and delicious. And that's what you girls are doing over at Know Your Lemons, is you're just trying to make this like something that is educational, but also just motivational to do this on a consistent basis. Yeah.
Yeah. Because lemons are cheerful.
Yes.
They're friendly. And by using this simple object of a lemon, we can open up conversations about breast health that have never happened before. So we are using this in schools. We're teaching teenagers about breast health.
So great.
And they love it. They really enjoy it. They go home, they tell their family about the app. They have a family history health conversation. And we don't have to kind of hide this conversation anymore. Right. These lemons really make it easy for us to get educated, know about the 12 symptoms, talk about it. And this is how we're able to educate and reach so many people around the world, is because we're making this conversation accessible and interesting to look at and fun. And so we've been nominated 3 times now for the Webby Awards. So Webby is like the Oscars of the internet.
So cool. Yes.
And the last couple of years, we have been named as one of the top 5 health and fitness apps.
So amazing.
In the world.
Against who? Big people.
Against Nike Fitness,
no big
Apple
deal.
Fitness, and some other really big health organizations.
So cool.
We have, as a charity, we have the same budget as Apple to develop apps. So it really wasn't that big a deal to be named alongside Apple.
That is
right?
a big deal. That is a huge deal. No.
But the reason why we're nominated is not because we have this amazing marketing budget or millions of dollars to spend on development, because we do not. It's because as a designer, I'm able to create an experience that's interesting and fun to use. And people see that. Design can really make a huge difference in how we choose to engage with information or stop and look at something. And so that's why this 12 Signs of Breast Cancer image has been so popular online and reached so many people, is because people see it and they go, you know what, I'm going to reshare that. And then they share that, and then a friend sees it. And then down the road, they're able to get diagnosed earlier because they had this education, they had this confidence in knowing what to do, knowing what to ask for. And that's really what the app is about. So the app sends you monthly reminders, time to your body. If you don't menstruate, it will send you reminders on the first day of every month. And it will teach you how to self-exam. It'll help you know what to do if you notice something unusual. It will assess your risk so you can have that conversation with your doctor of like, hi, I think I have an increased risk for breast cancer. Here's a bullet point list of like the risk factors I have. And I would really like to talk about how we can set up a screening plan that's right for me.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, how empowered do we feel going into the doctor with all of these? You know, that's why I do this podcast, honestly, is I'm always trying to help empower each of us to feel like we can be our own best health advocates. And so I love that you just make this so easy for all of us. It's so great. Does it just feel amazing? Do you feel like you wake up every morning just feeling so inspired and just so like happy that this is what you get to do with your life?
It's hearing the stories of people that have said, because of this image, I went to my doctor and got diagnosed early. It's because of the app that I was able to find this lump I didn't know was there, right? It's those things. And it's hearing from women around the world saying how it like saved their life. And, you know, it's like their kids talking to say like, thank you for helping with my mom. Like that means so much. And so, you know, we invite everyone to be part of this. It's not just me doing this by myself. I've got a great team. You know, we have, you know, partners in Mixers that helps educate customers and employees, right? And then you can get involved too. We have volunteer opportunities where you can become a Lemonista.
Love it.
And we will train you on how to teach about breast health. You can use all of our fun graphics and tools, and you can join our 800 volunteer Lemonistas in 60 countries. So you're part of a global group that's out there spreading education.
So cool.
You can do a monthly donation. That is a huge help. Like these apps don't write themselves.
Right. No.
So,
and you don't have Nike's budget yet or Apple's budget yet.
We don't have that budget yet. But, you know, we make the app available for free. And usually how health apps make their money is they collect data. We don't collect anything.
Nope, you're just helping people.
Your health information stays on the app. Like only you have access to that information. It never gets sent off the app to us or anything like that. That's really important to us.
Love and appreciate that.
We're like, you own your information. We're not here to sell it off to somebody else. So that's really important to us. So the ways that people would make money off of apps, we don't have that. So we rely on donations and grants and things like that. So that's really important. And I know Mixers is doing a promotion.
Yes, we are, girls. It's going to be awesome. And you can totally join in with us. So this week that this episode airs, we are donating 5% of all of our proceeds to Know Your Lemons. So anytime you are purchasing any of our products, know that 5% is going to this amazing organization and doing a lot of good and helping to educate women and help support women through something that touches all of us. And so it's something that we encourage you girls to, you know, buy something for yourself, but then also share this information with the girls in your life that you love, because this is something that we can all win from. And so we're really excited. This is the second year that we have collaborated with Know Your Lemons. And like I talked about in the intro, it's something I'm very passionate about because I feel like this needs to be so much more than just awareness. I like that they're putting this awareness into action, that this education is really empowering women to be able to be their best, their own best health advocates and be able to feel like they have the confidence that they need in order to like detect and to do these self-exams and to ask the right questions and to talk about it with their families and make this something that isn't embarrassing or whatever. It's just, I love everything that Know Your Lemons is doing. And I'm so happy that Mixers is working with you, and we will for as long as we possibly can, because this is something that we know touches so many of us, and we're all about supporting you and your health so that you can live your best life.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, a really simple thing you can do today. I mean, if you've listened all the way to now,
yes,
we know we've got you.
You all have, right?
We know that you're interested. You want to make a difference. Something super easy you can do today is to go to any of our social media things for Know Your Lemons. So like Instagram, Know Your Lemons, Facebook, Know Your Lemons, Pinterest, Know Your Lemons. At the top, we have pinned the 12 signs of breast cancer image. Just reshare it.
Yes.
Another great thing that you can do is text a friend, and we have this fun little thing where we say, send 2 lemon emojis.
Cute.
And say, hey, do you do your monthly self-exams? Just start that question.
Yeah.
And then through that conversation with your friend, your breast friend.
Your breast friend.
Your breast friend.
Oh, that's the cutest. Yeah, I love it.
you can say to each other, you know what? Let's get better at this. And you can book your mammograms to go at the same time. You can check in with each other, and every month send them 2 little lemons with a question mark saying, hey, have you done your self-exam yet this month? The app will keep you on track. So just commit together that you want to be breasties.
Yeah.
and then download the app, and it will keep you on track, and it'll just be something that you'll feel empowered about, because when we feel empowered about one aspect of our body, that moves on to other things, right?
Trickles down. Yep. It encompasses everything. So I love it. I love that Corrine is one of my breasties, and I hope that you've enjoyed getting to know her and the whole mission behind Know Your Lemons. And let's all be each other's best breasties, all right? And download this incredible app for free. Take advantage of it. Use it. Let's take care of ourselves. We deserve it. We deserve to feel our best and to be as healthy as possible. So thank you again for being a guest. You're always
Cody.
so helpful. There's so
Absolutely
much wisdom that comes from you. So thank you for tuning in. Share this episode with all of the girls in your life. I always ask if you will. I'm going to tell you, please. I'm going to basically give you an order. This is your assignment this week, is to share this episode with every girl in your life that you could possibly think of, because nothing could be more important. So thank you so much. Until next week, I hope you guys have a very happy and healthy week. Bye.